So I don't really talk about wrestling too much on this channel, but I do make a lot of wrestling references and memes in my videos that I hope like most of y'all understand. If you haven't heard, that boy John Cena finally turned heel after about 21 years of being a face of not even just the WWE, but just the face of wrestling in general. Big Match John finally made a little heel turn. The biggest Make-A-Wish maker is now the biggest Break-A-Wish maker. Man said F them kids. I mean, to be honest, y'all are too old, because John Cena's like fan base, even when they were kids, are now like adults, because I started watching Cena when I was like a preteen, so you know damn well that's kind of too late. I watched Cena as a preteen during my high school years, and during his early peak, starting with the Dr. Thugonomics run. And this might have been the greatest thing they could have done, because the clean streak John Cena was just kind of getting stale at this point, if you know what I mean. You feel me? You feel me? I think y'all feel me, right? Because ain't no way he was doing like this clean babyface thing during his like last retirement tour. This has been done like 1,000 times before. Now with that being said, John Cena being the major Hollywood star he is these days, and Raw on Netflix, and even Cody being technically on SmackDown, this brings even more casuals in to see what the actual hell is happening. And being one of the biggest heel turns in the industry since Hogan joining the NWO, this will for damn sure set the industry ablaze. But is that going to make any changes to wrestling moving on? I kind of think so. Let's just talk about it. Before I get started, if you're liking the videos, give the video a like, subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate it. I upload sporadically, like every 2 or so weeks or something. Sporadically, you know, because tis life. That's with the exception of a few other promotions, being WCW, ECW, and random backyard wrestling games, and a newer AEW, WWE has been the main seller of wrestling games since obviously Vince back in the day said screw territories and brought out every other promotion. Wrestling and the games for that matter have always been a staple entertainment, since the first one being Micro League for the Commodore 64 back in 1989. Since then, wrestling games have specifically by the WWE have only gotten better and better, with the so-called golden age of these games with being SmackDown for the original PlayStation, SmackDown 2, WWE back then WWF Just Bring It, Here Comes the Pain, SmackDown Shut Your Mouth, Day of Reckoning, and the highly rated SmackDown vs. Raw series. Now obviously there's other games in other different promotions like New Japan, TNA, and of course WCW in the 90s like WCW Nitro, but mainly we're going to talk about the WWE since they're mainly the main event mafia these days. See what I did there? Yeah! To the point, wrestling games was killing it. Developers, Ukes, and THQ were receiving legendary status for these titles. THQ was actually ahead of its time, like pretty much damn near goated. They were like pumping out these things like Ubisoft did in the 2010s, like with the Assassin's Creed series. But Assassin's Creed series has got way too overdrawn and too much, and you kind of gotta like select which Assassin's Creed that you want to play, because at some point it's just like, yo, this is a waste of time. Too many damn Assassin's Creed games. Come on guys, what the fuck is this? Game after game, no breaks, but with hit after hit, greatest hits after greatest hits, if I'm being authentic. When it came to the 7th gen consoles, WWE 12 was the first on the list, with the Demon Randy Orton being on the cover. I wanted this nigga in the body bag at this time. I actually hated this man. It all started with right at RKO. I couldn't stand this man. Get him out of here. But he's good at his job. So, I mean, hey, wrestling is about making you feel. He did his job. And these days, he's probably one of the best heels in the business, even if he's playing a face right now. But he's one of the greatest guys, greatest heels in like wrestling history at this point. He's on the list. He's on the list. So he did his job. WWE 13 was the first game where 2K started to come along, and it started to get a bit more realistic. Most people could say this was a good thing. Games were getting more realistic and giving accurate depictions of the superstars. New modes further down the line, you get to see things like Super Mode, Creator Arena, Create a Match feature. But here's where it all started to not feel the same. I mentioned AEW in the beginning of the video, and if you don't know, it was created by CEO Tony Khan. Man's always looks like he just snorted a few lines before he like hit up a press conference. Every time. It started as a project alongside current champion Cody Rhodes, Kenny Omega, and the worst tag team in the history of tag teams, Matt and Nick Jackson's the Young Bucks, who were the acting EVPs. Not to get sidetracked, bro, but I really fucking hate the Young Bucks, bro. Young Bucks are absolute trash in my opinion. Their promos are garbage, their characters are garbage, their gear is absolute trash, their moves are just like belongs in the trash, bro. It's terrible. So I'm like, how do people like the Young Bucks, bro? If you in the comments, if you see this video, you like the Young Bucks, please tell me, bro. Please tell me how you like the Young Bucks. Like, why do you like the Young Bucks? It's like two like sleazy dudes, scumbags you meet in the side of like a Jersey like gas station somewhere. No shade to my Jersey watchers, but bro, like, I don't know, man. That's just, yeah, they trashed me, man. I don't know. AEW was to be the direct competitor to WWE, but as you can see these days, they failing mad heavy, man. Call me a WWE mark, but I was a fan of AEW, like, for a while. Until I wasn't. Anyways, regardless of the company itself, they released the game back in 2023, AEW Fight Forever. Putting aside the development, DLC, and post-launch content, and release issues, the game brought people back to what they know and loved about old school wrestling games from the early 2000s. Not too realistic, jacked up wacky mechanics that made no sense, but it made the game super fun with wild backstage fight abilities, whatever you can kind of name about, like whatever you loved about Here Comes the Pain. Like, this game made a similar feel to what everyone loved about those. Now, a game like this isn't gonna do too well in the modern day just because of content, and if the content isn't stacked and like consistent, it's not gonna do well. That's just kind of how it is these days, right? And to be honest, it's one of the reasons why the game grew so stale so fast with out-of-date content that it actually shut the servers down within like about a year. Like, it was like, people played it, it was like, yo, this is fun, and then it got stale really fast, and they're like, yeah, we're not supporting AEW Fight Forever anymore, so we're shutting down the servers. I was like, god damn. Well, the game didn't last too long. It initially received good reviews and high expectations for the gameplay, before it already had to be forcefully put on the shelf like Ric Flair in the 2020s. If you don't know, WWE 2K20 released in 2019 and was probably one of, if not the worst wrestling games of like all time. Like, it was bad, bro. Like, terrible. One of the worst games that you could have made, not even bought, just like the developers had to just retire after coming out with this game. It was just that terrible. It was notorious for its generally unfavorable reviews, criticizing its glitchy graphics targeting, control scheme, and just overall its abysmal quality. Games are like $60+ these days, so I mean, I can safely say if your shit's not running correctly, or especially after like a big budget, you can kindly get to stepping, bro, because that's just not, like, I'm not wasting my money on this. Like, what is this? Like, I could have spent this on something else. 60 bones? Bro, come on, son. Old, bold, and brash belongs in the trash, bro. Like, what? Even with IGN critics saying the models look like they crawled out of a PS2 era game, which can't be that bad, but the gameplay was just unjustifiably terrible, and the game was pretty much just unplayable at a point. There was even a hashtag fix WWE 2K20 tag that started on all platforms. What even further cements how bad this game was, this was the year that Seth Rollins and Bray Wyatt, rest in peace, had their Hell in a Cell match, which is terribly rated. I watched this and it was in fact a pretty bad match. I don't even want to talk about it, but I was like, yo, why they do this? Like, it was bad. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know what the direction they was going with that, but I'm not gonna continue on and talk about that because that's a whole nother side story. Anyway, the game was just so bad that as it was presented as the sponsor for the Hell in a Cell, it might have just been a foreshadowing of the show itself because it's just of how damn bad it was. The negative energy literally rubbed off on Seth Rollins, bro, because Seth Rollins don't really have many bad matches, but this one was just like, yo, it's the curse of WWE 2K20. It rubbed off on me, rubbed off on Bray, rubbed off on The Fiend, bro. Like, get it out of here. But to be honest, this was like the last few years that WWE games was just taking L's, or just in general, the company was taking L's, because like, yo, they started like kicking in the high gear after this. Like, they was like, yo, we're not doing this anymore. They kicked Vince out of there, and they was just like, yo, we gotta be on this money today. After this, WWE started kind of really going hard on their games. I'm gonna be real, I hadn't played a wrestling game since like SmackDown vs. Raw 2011, until that record was broken by 2K23. And that was just like, yo, that was like a long gap, and I was like, it's not the same kind of game, but I'm digging it. It's different, but I'm digging it. I'll get back to it in a second, but it's like basically they just skipped 2K21 because it was just so bad. Like, 2K20 was just so bad they had to skip a year and just like let's just have a conversation, let's just back this up, let's just talk about this real fast. Like yo, we can't make this game that bad again, bro. Like, it was just terrible. People was literally throwing out the copies from like whatever they bought it from, deleting their games from like the systems, bro, that they owned it on. Like, dudes literally built the DeLorean and went back in time to 1983 just to throw the copies in the Atari landfill from the gritty video game crash back then. I'm just kidding, bro. Like, but over exaggeration, but that's just how seeming like how bad this game was. Like, people hated this joint. Like, this is the end for wrestling games. Like, retiring them. we retired him for that. Like, it's for like a good 2 years, bro. Like, but yeah, no, 2K came back with the WWE 2K22 with Rey Mysterio on the cover, and they actually did a really good job on it, getting generally favorable reviews. It obviously wasn't the perfect game, but based on how they went out last time, this one was certified gold at this point, and was even stated to be one of the best modern entries in the series, along with the My Rise mode, in which you can explore different career storylines, collect rewards, and control your narrative, no pun intended, was a step up and gave everyone what they were looking for in the modern wrestling game. It's also crazy going back and look at some of these rosters over the years, but just not even just the 2K, but just in general, wrestling games from like the times of like the 90s, 2000s. Wrestlers are basically like contractors. There are always yearly releases in the company, so unless you have some sort of historical relevance like a Hall of Famer or something, or just like a consistent guy like Randy Orton, you're special to specific entries, which is like really kind of cool, to be honest, or like kind of bad. I don't know, however you kind of want to look at it. It's up to your interpretation. Wrestling games have only gotten better and better, with a lot of trial and error titles for older kids and older audiences. Some are gonna hit and some are gonna miss. I mean, like the whole damn mark that's kind of inevitable with games in general these days. So what are you gonna do? Just don't be surprised if you're called by a mark for having a favorite game by like fickle wrestling fans, because wrestling fans are fickle these days. Like a lot. Second the story's not going good. Man, this sucks. It's whatever. Man, you didn't push the super. It's like, bro, just wait. Same thing will happen at WrestleMania. People was like, oh man, like this WrestleMania build up so trash, and then this happened. They're like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. Like, bro, just wait. Calm the down, bro. Relax. Patience is a virtue. What about John Cena? What about Big Match John? So, John has been the face of wrestling in general for over a decade at this point. Over the years, there's always been a new top guy in the industry, from Hogan to Ultimate Warrior to Bret Hart to Undertaker to Stone Cold and The Rock. And you can go even further back by using, I don't know, guys like Gorgeous George and Bruno Sammartino. John Cena took that mantle and became the workhorse, starting off as the prototype in WWE's development to OVW, which is kind of now like NXT, I guess, these days, and becoming the Dr. of Thugonomics with the inspo from Princess Stephanie. John became the guy everyone got behind, even though at some point you get the let's go Cena sucks chance. That's just kind of inevitable. However, John Cena has pretty much hit Hollywood levels of The Rock and is now pretty much a mainstream personality. Like, bro, this nigga even got the you can't see me like joint on like a McDonald's ad. Like, I was like, yo, this man unironically did this and disappeared on a McDonald's ad. Bro, don't even probably like eats McDonald's, bro. Like, you probably don't even eat McDonald's. You probably eat McDonald's like one time or like 3 times a year, my guy. Like, this man's, that is his hero persona. Feeding people like heart attacks at McDonald's now is what he does. That's part of his KO character. It's part of his heel character.
You to a place where a whole new menu of possibilities exist, inspiring you to order more from life than you could ever imagine. And while you're here, I can't wait to meet you.
Oh my God, bro.
You go to McDonald's, you see John Cena, he's like, yo, you're gonna have a heart attack for eating this. Like, tell him to supersize it. They don't even do that anymore, but whatever. John Cena, with his super clean, family friendly, I love to inspire men their mentality, wasn't just part of his character. John Cena has gained a very clean reputation as one of the best guys to work with, and overall just a very well-liked guy. Unlike The Rock, who has some things said about him at some point and can be easily kind of viewed as like a maniacal member of the board, TKO, he's more believable to be a bad guy. His character is very much so believable as a power-hungry boss, and to be honest, the final boss character is just pretty much just genius in my opinion. Like, this man bought stakes for the TKO company and just became like this guy, like, I'm gonna tell you what to do. Like, last year he was at WrestleMania, he was like, you count your fire. Like, bro, this is like genius. Like, this is just like the perfect setup. I can't even lie. That's why people was like, this is the best heel work in this man's career. Even like early Hollywood Rock like doesn't compare. Like, that's just great. It's fantastic.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. What you gonna do?
When it comes to Cena, no one expected this. It's always been talked about him going heel again since 2003, but no one really believed it. What would the kids think? I've even heard people online debating that Rock and Cena should be fired for what they did to Cody. I'm like, bro, this is like kind of scripted, my guy. Like, what? It's scripted. Like, do you not know this? This is not real. Like, they probably in the back, like, having a drink. Like, relax. But for kids, and being a mainstream hero for younger kids over the years, it's the equivalent of Mickey Mouse taking a picture with that kid at Disney World, but with him flicking the kid off like MJF in that one photo op. And yeah, you can say most Cena fans are adults at this point, but it's still a shock. It's even being labeled as one of the biggest moments in wrestling history, being compared to Hogan's heel turn joining the NWO and Austin's heel turn joining forces with Vince McMahon in Texas at WrestleMania 17. There is nothing that has come close until now. Now, where does this put wrestling games, or the sale of said games? Well, John being the super clean guy that he is, mainstream people know who he is, casual fans know who he is, and WrestleMania season is upon us, and every year the main goal is to make it as big as ever. Along with WWE 2K25 being released this March, as well as their Netflix deal, there is gonna be a lot of people that's invested in the product. There's too many eyes and so many directions in this company, even with its storylines, for people to not get interested. Even at least a little bit. And John Cena, even though Cody is the top guy and their full-time champion, Cena's gonna raise that bar just a tad bit further, if you know what I mean. Even if he decided to go on a retirement tour, just like CM Punk said, and just to not show up. Like, he wasn't showing up for like 2-3 months after he said that. Like, bro, you gonna show up? Like, you got a job to do. What's going on? This kicked off something that has never been seen before. And it's not like we're getting like a Dr. or Thugonomics return. I mean, that wouldn't really make much sense. Like, even though it can sort of make sense or work out a little bit, just like Undertaker did with his last match with AJ Styles. Like, he blended like his dead man character and his big evil like American badass character in one thing, so it can work. But I don't think they're gonna go to that point of just Dr. or Thugonomics. It's been done before, right? WWE is a major billion-dollar company full of sponsors, revenue, and merch sales, and with the game seemingly perfect at this point, this will only generate a bigger boom in wrestling games, whether they're AAA titles or low-end indie games that, I don't know, you can possibly get sued over, because that happens sometimes, I guess, from what I hear. Cena's involvement made everything go from there's no build-up to there's Mania to, oh my gosh, you've been waiting for this for years. Like, what? Even though there's been a ton of pre-release talk for 2K25 with all the special editions, even with a large listing of DLC characters that's never even been considered. Like, these motherfuckers put New Jack in the game. This man New Jack is in a wrestling game in 2025. What timeline are we even on right now, bro? Like, what? And with this much hype, it doesn't give the developers a choice but to do their best going forward with the promotions on the video game end. There is absolutely no way in the hell this only game is going to turn out mediocre. 2K22 was good, 2K23 was fantastic, 2K24 was amazing as well, so there's no doubt that 2K25 is going to be bigger and better than ever. That's just kind of how it is. Like, it's just going to be probably the best one that they've made so far. At least I hope so. Wrestling games have been stagnant for a good while now, and the industry has been hitting a resurgence to the point of Attitude Eras, and I don't know, maybe you think it surpassed the Attitude Era level of popularity. I was back then, so I was back there, so I kind of know, but I don't know how it compares now. What do you think? What do you don't think? Like, hey, that's kind of up to you to decide. What do you guys think? You guys think wrestling games are improving? Think the industry has been on like the biggest boom period so far? Let me know in the comment section down below and let's talk about it. Follow me on IG, follow me on Twitter, and follow me on SoundCloud for all the tunes. Lastly, stay safe and happy out there. This is Kaimaxz. Looking forward to this heel Cena run. Later.